In this next article from the Atlanta Journal-Courier, 15 sex trafficking victims among 39 missing children recovered in Georgia. For law enforcement officials who spend countless hours investigating child sex trafficking cases, the work can feel like an uphill battle against evil. Those who traffic minors for sex tend to fly under the radar, and when a child is rescued from an abusive situation, they're often reluctant to accept help or speak out against those who are harmed. So they say QAnon is just an absolute conspiracy theory, like there's no truth to it, but statistically, you're very highly likely to have some of these sex traffickers work for the federal government. It's a fact. Statistics are like that. The federal government hires millions of people. And when you have that many people, you're going to have, statistically likely, you're going to have X percent pedophiles, X percent sex traffickers, and X percent of them are, Y percent sex traffickers, and Z percentage of them will work for the federal government. It's just a fact of statistics. There's nothing fishy about that. In Metro Atlanta alone, authorities estimate 300 young girls are lured into sex trafficking each month. That's a lot. That's just one city. So to think that QAnon is completely baseless would be foolish. Quote, these are not children that are in some way, in some faraway land, faraway land. I think they missed the space there. Said Donald Washington, director of the US Marshals Service. Quote, they are America's children. They are kids that need to go home and find. Sorry, we need to go and find. End quote. During a recent 2-week operation in Metro Atlanta and Macomb, investigators did just that. A collaborative effort involving federal, state, and local law enforcement officials resulted in the recovery of 39 missing children, including 15 who authorities said were trafficked for sex. Not like the Epstein victims who were masseuses and then they gave hand jobs and showed their tits. These are like actual real pedophiles in a child sex trafficking ring. As part of Operation Not Forgotten, members of the U.S. Marshals Service, the GBI, and other state agencies conducted searches at dozens of Georgia homes, apartments, and hotel rooms in search of missing children, officials said Thursday during a news conference in Atlanta. Those recovered ranged in age from 3 years old to 17, Washington said. Some had been missing for 2 weeks, while others had been away from their families for 2 years. Of the 39 children recovered, 26 were considered endangered by officials. Operation also led to the arrest of 9 people, some of whom now face sex trafficking charges. Others were charged with parental kidnapping, registered sex offender violations, drug and weapons possession, and custodial interference. So looks like there's some incestual parents. I personally believe that we should ban fake incest porn from the internet because I believe that it's not like a horror movie. You don't go watch a horror movie and then want to go kill people. But people who watch fake incest porn on the internet do want to mimic that. And in cases like this, you can see that parents will sell their own children to sex traffickers. And it's just absolutely detestable. So I believe that it incites violence upon minors, sexual violence. Others were The harsh reality is that every 40 seconds, a child is abducted in the United States. So it would be foolish to think that none of these people worked for the federal government. Of more than 421,000 children missing in the U.S., 91% are considered endangered runaways, he said. About 1/6 of those are likely to become sex trafficking victims. So this is not a small number of people. 1/6, divide that number by 6, that's insane. What, 12, 24, 36? 40. That's like 12,000 of those, hold on, 12. Is that right? It's some crazy number of these people are getting sex trafficked. Those numbers, the statistics right there are enough evidence to not discount QAnon. Among those in attendance Thursday was Georgia's AG Chris Carr, whose office launched a sex trafficking prosecution unit in May 2019. The unit is new in our office. It's the first kind in state's history, Carr said. When we launched, we had high expectations for the team, and they continue to exceed them. Wow. Thank you so much, Carr, for creating that sex trafficking unit. The families, thank you. I am so thankful that these children were found. There was a nightmare for these parents. So you need to be wary of people like Twitter has been suppressing QAnon. They say it's a far-right conspiracy theory, but the problem with calling it far-right is there's no grounds to that. If you look at far-right, it originally means like far-right as in left-right politics, where like farthest left is communism, farthest right is Nazism, hence the word far-right and far-left. And, but after Rush Limbaugh changed this to left means liberal and then right means conservative, then the definition started changing, and organizations like the Southern Poverty Law Center started inserting other groups into the far right. They said it was racist, xenophobic. They have this bizarre list of things that they show that are far right, but QAnon is none of those. Absolutely none of those at all. It's a group that's against child sex trafficking and corruption. And if you don't support that, then you're on the wrong side of history, buddy. And Twitter is actually, I even got suppressed. I got temporarily banned. I covered it in the last show, so I'm not going to show you the things. You can go look at RSS commentary for evidence. But I questioned, there was a Democrat and a Republican senator came out with a bill trying to condemn QAnon, say that it's like some far-right terror group. And so I questioned these people and I said, hey, look, you guys are government officials who are trying to like fight QAnon. Like you guys, I think that you guys are pedophiles. And then I got banned from Twitter, or blocked for 12 hours and then shadow banned. And it was like a shadow block. It was more than a shadow ban. It was a shadow block. So this is freaky. How many of them there were? Since last year, Carr said his agency has placed 18 Georgia sex trafficking victims in rehabilitation services. The unit has worked in cases in 11 Georgia counties, resulting in the indictments of 5 suspected sex traffickers, Carr said. Another 8 sex trafficking investigations are on their way. You guys are awesome. Sex trafficking can be, in many ways, a hidden crime, one that lives in the shadows, he said. If we can save one child from a life of abuse or sex trafficking, we've done our job. And this operation did that for many, many children. And if QAnon saves one child's life, it is worth supporting. Especially if it's actually legit. I don't know if it's actually legit. I'm agnostic with anything, but I debunk fake news. I'm looking to debunk QAnon. I find any sort of evidence to debunk QAnon, I'm going to be the first one to debunk it. But the fact is that you can't just debunk that. I mean, first, it's a hard to debunk claim because you have to prove that there's no child sex traffickers there, but if you didn't bust them. So I guess it's kind of hard to prove. But I do believe that if we actually looked, we would actually find it.